If he just chose to be selfish,
Yeah.
for just a little bit longer, he could have.
Like, she was out.
Ray. What? Welcome to the Variety Voiceover Nerdcast. This week, two geeks take on the Viltrumite Warrior Conquest. But first, I am your host, Camden Parsons, with my co-host,
Derek Garnovic.
Derek. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're in that episode where we're talking about
We're talking about
Invincible today.
As of last week, the finale has aired for season 3, and I have been itching like a rash to talk about it. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode.
You might want to get a cream.
I have
that.
a cream. It's called Conquest. Oh, wait, actually, no, that sounds real gross.
We're going to stick with it.
All right, cool. Before we get into that, though, I'd like to go over some news that I found for this week. First of all, the biggest one, at least for me, Lego Pokemon.
Lego Pokemon
has officially been announced. They've been doing like those off-brand sets with like Mega Blocks, whatever, for a couple years now.
Right.
But I guess Lego officially has, which makes sense because Lego's been partnered with Nintendo for a little while now. They've been doing Mario sets. They did a Legend of Zelda one not too long ago.
Yeah. I know. I've seen a lot of Mega Block ones.
Yeah.
Like, I actually have a Pokedex that's Mega Block.
Yeah. They've been doing that for a while. But then I guess, I don't know what changed. Maybe Mega Bloks just lost the license and Lego picked it up.
Well.
But yeah, they're set for 2026 to come out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Not too far away.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. The other one I got here, there is a Power Ranger series being adapted for Disney Plus.
Okay.
Are you a fan of Power Rangers?
Yes, I actually am.
I'm not.
Really?
Yeah.
I grew up with the original Power Rangers though,
okay.
like Tommy and just the terrible graphics.
Yeah. I when I was growing up, they had something Samurai, I think.
Okay, Samurai Force.
Yeah. I was never that into it. Like, it's one of those ones where I'd get on Nickelodeon to watch the 2012 Ninja Turtle series, and then that would be on. Like, yeah, all right, cool. But like, I was never a fan of Power Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously got out of it when the age required me.
Yeah,
to do
I mean
so.
that's valid. Yeah.
I mean, but I think the last one that I really kind of remember full-heartedly is I think a Shift into Turbo. I think that's.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know
they like drove cars and stuff. I mean, like Power Rangers over the time has gotten to weird places.
I can imagine, yeah. Especially being on for as long as it has.
Yeah, I just remember watching the original, like Power Rangers movie, and it like there was so much to it, and like the ooze.
There was a movie.
Yeah, there was movie.
Ooze. Are you sure you're not confusing this with Ninja Turtles?
No.
Did you know there was a Ninja Turtles Power Rangers crossover?
I did not.
Yeah.
But I want to be looking into that now.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, I want to say it's pretty cool. But I've only ever seen clips of it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the full episode. But yes, that's pretty cool. You might have to check that out, I guess.
I think so.
The last one I got, I don't have a whole lot this week. I'm trying to condense down.
Yeah,
from last time.
you got more important stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat 2, the movie that's coming out, just got some set photos revealed. It's got Carl Urban, I think, is the one who posted them. It's him as Johnny Cage. If you want to take a look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I think there's a few other ones. Yeah, the lady with the fans. I think that's Shao Kahn. I don't know Mortal Kombat that well. Katana wins. I did just last night download Mortal Kombat 1.
Okay.
Because my goal is to collect everything Invincible.
Okay.
And part of that is Mortal Kombat 1 has an Omni-Man DLC.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
I've been holding off getting it for a long time. But I was just checking it out last night just because I was like, oh, to have the Omni-Man DLC. And I saw that the Ultimate Edition, it's like $90, was on sale for $30.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I scooped that up. I got not only did I get him, I got all the DLC.
That's
Peacemaker,
awesome.
Homelander 2, whoever the rest of those chumps are. I also got Ghostface, the T-1000 from Terminator, Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah. I've never really been into fighter games. I mean, I button mashed to hell and back. And
you know what's so funny? I just had a conversation with my girlfriend about that today because I was telling her about how I was like, oh, I'm excited to get back on and play that again soon. I was kind of talking about how I wish that they still did games. I want to just have a disc. That'd be really cool. I just thought this would be cool to bring it over, all of us hang out and play that. But I downloaded it digitally. I don't have, and it's not like I can just get on your like PlayStation, download the game because it would take a while and it's data for you to have. It's like it's just a pain to try and play games with other people that way anymore. You know?
Yeah, and which I mean, there's a spin-off conversation I think we can either have on or off mic about the station or the standard of $70 games when it's not a physical copy anymore. Like,
you know what? That's a good point.
Like, I understand like distribution and like they don't want to undercut when it comes down to like actually
but
buying
if you're
it in the
not,
store.
like,
But if you're not producing it, there's no shipping, there's nothing to it. I am literally downloading it from your server.
I've never thought about that.
Why is it the same
actually.
price as a physical copy?
That's a good point. We'll put a pin in that because I do think that is actually maybe even episode worthy.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But no, yeah, we'll get back to that. Yeah, no, my girlfriend was talking about how she hasn't played Mortal Kombat because we were talking about playing it together at some point. And I was like, we could play all the because she wants to play that new Split Fiction game that just came out. And I'm like,
we just started it.
Did you?
It's amazing.
It looks really good. But I told her I was like, I'll play Split Fiction with you. If you play me in a couple rounds of Mortal Kombat.
You let me beat your ass in some Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. She's like, I'll be so bad. All I do is button mash. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Combos.
I told her
combos.
She was like, last time I played, I just kept hitting. I got my ass kicked 7 times in a row, so I just button mashed for the whole 8th round. I'm like, no. If you got your ass whooped 7 times, you get your ass whooped an 8th time and die with dignity. You don't button mash.
Yeah. Out here just throwing round kicks.
Yeah, just like on
sweeps.
the ground, just like let's sweeping the whole time, dude. Yeah, but no, I'm not the biggest fan of fighter games either.
Yeah.
I did play a lot of Injustice 2.
Okay, yeah.
But I've never really been a big fan of Mortal Kombat. Kind of for the same reason we were just talking about off air of gore.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of gore, but as I've gotten older, I think I've like kind of
yeah.
You know, it's not. It's
there's
not
an art
that
form to it
bothersome.
in some ways. I mean,
yeah.
But like obviously going back to it, the Injustice, I imagine you probably would have picked that up. And I watched a little bit of it. I didn't play too much, but the clashes were crazy in that game.
Yeah, those are cool. I'm not the greatest at fighter games.
Which is fair. I thought mostly when it came down to your opinion on that game was mostly the dialogue because you really like.
Oh yeah, the story of those games is pretty good. It's one of the times where I'm kind of getting sick of the evil Superman trope, to be honest. But I do think Injustice is one of the times it does it well. It is also one of the things that I think popularized the trope. But yeah, the story's pretty fun. And like I said, it's NetherRealm, so it's the same kind of like fighting style game that you're used to, but with DC characters. And lots of customization. That's my favorite part about that game is I main Robin.
Of course you do.
But I'm trying to get him to be as Nightwing as possible.
Of course.
It's Damian Wayne Robin. It's not Dick Grayson. And Dick Grayson's the one who becomes Nightwing.
Right.
So there is like different armor pieces you can get that are Nightwing.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also special abilities you can get, and one of the abilities is it straight up changes the moveset from Damien with the sword to you get a scrum of sticks because Nightwing's in the first game.
Yeah.
But it changes the moveset to that version of the character. So
you basically just transform him.
I'm trying to make him Nightwing, yeah.
Yeah, without the actual name of him. Got it.
Who knows? If I get that attack, maybe it'll change his name to Nightwing. Who knows?
I feel like that would be a pretty cool Easter egg.
I agree. But yeah, we're getting a little sidetracked. That's okay. Omni-Man and Mortal Kombat. That leads us right into, dude, Invincible Season 3.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, holy
so
crap.
Good.
Dude, what did you think?
I loved it. I mean, I got into the first season much later than most people. And I consumed the media like none other. I mean, my girlfriend and I sat down and watched it every chance we got. And then we got caught up to where we were basically getting new episodes every week, just as you.
Yeah.
And I'm still wanting more. I mean,
dude, I know, right?
And like I said it earlier on in the episodes that we've had, I actually went through the comics. I didn't read them personally. Reading them now was a challenge, but I know some of the story and knowing what happens next, and it just creates a lot of anticipation.
Do you want to try and keep this as spoiler free for the comic as we can?
I think so. I think we just talk about simply the season 3 finale.
Yeah. Well, the whole season 3 is my goal. Yeah. I think what we could do if you want is maybe toward the end of the main topic section, we could do a spoiler section where we can get maybe predictions for maybe the next season, things like that. But at least for the main topic, we'll keep it spoiler free.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. This season adapted some of my favorite parts of the whole series. My personal favorite part of the entire comic is the Invincible War.
Yeah.
And holy crap, they did it nothing but justice.
Yeah.
I also Powerplex is one of my favorite like mini stories in the whole thing because it's I'm seeing a lot of people don't like that episode though. They think Powerplex is too whiny, which I guess I can kind of see, but I love Powerplex because it shows that like even though Mark is the good guy, he's the bad guy in someone else's story.
And I think that goes to show with anything. You know, that gives a little level of like humanity to these stories where like you're not always the hero in everyone's perspective.
Yeah.
You know, like you could be doing the best you can, but someone's going to be like, screw that guy.
Yeah. And I love that because there's not a lot of superhero media that covers that type of stuff.
Right.
Especially because like the big two that are the most popular, like Marvel, DC, they don't. It's kind of just like status quo. Sometimes they'll have stories here and there that are kind of like, you know, we're the regular people in this world. Here's what we have to deal with. Right. But it's almost just goofy, like, you know, like there was a show that only lasted a season called Powerless, which is kind of that whole idea. But a lot of the time, you're right. It's not like it doesn't show. I don't want to say more realistic side, but kinda of just like
it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Even though Invincible, I would argue is not that standard hero show.
No,
I mean,
which is part of what makes it so good.
We're talking. One thing about this is like they're not afraid to kill off civilians in huge numbers.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we're talking not like one person dies by accident. We're talking thousands.
Oh yeah, and I mean obviously you have the Omni-Man fight at the end of season 1.
Right.
But if there's anything, is these last 2 episodes, the I can't want to say Viltrumite, the Invincible War.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they give a number in the show of how many people died, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So many people.
Yeah.
Like huge collateral, and then Conquest shows up, and that's one of my favorite things too. 2 things that Invincible did that I like a lot, that has always been kind of a complaint of mine as far as like superhero media goes, is it's kind of convenient that big events will happen and then nothing else will happen for a while. You know, in season 2 it adapted the Sequid invasion as well as the missile silo, which happened congruently. Like, while Team A was up in space dealing with the Sequids and trying not to get them to invade Earth, this huge event, at the same exact time, Team B's down here trying to stop the Lizard League from trying to blow up the world or whatever it was they had planned, you know? So, like, 2 big events happening at the same time I like a lot. As well as no break. Literally, I'm talking so fast. I just did an actual literally. That is so cringe.
Cringy.
I need to calm
it's
down.
A little bit cringy.
It's just widowing like so good. I widowing love Invincible. No, but like in all seriousness, the fact that the Invincible War happens and then immediately after, like he's
stand ready for my arrival.
Literally,
like
I think
immediately.
I think it's the 4th day, if I'm not mistaken, because the Invincible War happens over the course of 3 days. I think at the end of the 3rd day, they're getting everything situated, and then day 4 is when he starts some cleanup efforts. That's when Conquest shows up.
Yeah, because like that's how long Eve was out, because
that's right.
She was in the hospital for 4 days.
But I love that he doesn't get a break. He's literally like, look at all this destruction. How am I going to deal with this? And then the second strongest Viltrumite. Actually, it's really cool. I like the song that plays, like the score, the soundtrack is called his song is called the second strongest Viltrumite, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah. I was a big fan of Conquest's entrance. I mean, some people were not very happy with it, but screw them. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was something. And I have said it unironically several times as just little. It's a tick now.
The stand ready for my arrival one.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's the only appropriate way to enter a room.
Yeah.
You get out of you open the door first and then stand out of you and go, stand ready for my arrival, worm.
Yeah.
I love it. Actually, funny enough, I was on the phone with her today.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but I just randomly did the bit. This bit I want to talk about the extra dialogue that was added to the show of Conquest's "I'm so lonely."
Yeah.
Dude, the 2 bits that were added to the show that weren't in the comic. Early in the fight, Mark sends him out into space. I can't remember, he throws him, punches him, whatever. They're in space.
Yep.
And Conquest has that glob of blood in his mouth. He spits it out.
Yeah.
And as it freezes, he manipulates it and turns it into a frozen heart and then flicks it, and it shatters, and he goes and starts pummeling Mark, right? Wasn't in the comic.
That was so great.
I love it.
I love that.
Perfect demonstration of just like, this guy is nuts.
And he's playing around with him at that time.
Yeah, but kind of in a subtle way.
Yeah.
Insanity in a character is something that I feel can be very easily misrepresented.
Yes.
Misrepresented. Because there's like, whoa, watch out, I'm crazy. You don't know what I'm going to do next. And that's never really plays well in my opinion. It doesn't feel like crazy. Something like that, like spit. Why would you make a heart? What was the point of that? Like super cutesy, and then shatter it. Like, well, I'm gonna break your heart. Like, I don't know. He's gonna kill you. That's all I know. You know.
I think that plays into the second one that you're gonna go into. Like, those are the things that when you're alone for a very long time and you're doing just one thing and one thing alone, you're gonna go a little crazy.
Oh, absolutely. But I love things like that because I feel like it just adds to his character and builds this presence of like, yeah, he's strong. Okay, so what? He fought Omni-Man. He was strong too.
Right.
You know, and that I think sets him apart of like, Omni-Man was more just like, I have a mission and he's fighting with it, versus Conquest is like, I don't really care. I'm just going to kick your ass.
Yeah, they gave me the green light to fuck you up, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, the other big change, or addition I should say, is his line of dialogue where he says, I wonder if I can find it verbatim, but the part where he is leaning into Mark's ear after he's like beat the snot out of him, and he gives this whole monologue about how he's so alone. Let me see if I can find it.
They don't even give me a name, just what I do.
Purpose. Shout out to Skalugity on the Invincible subreddit r/Invincible for he has all the different parts where he just kind of goes on a monologue. His here, it's the lonely speech. He says, "Pay attention. I am so lonely. All of the other Viltrumites are scared of me. No one talks to me. No one wants to be my friend. They think I'm unstable. They send me from planet to planet, committing atrocities in their name. And as I get better at it, they only fear me more. I am a victim of my own success." DJ Khaled. "Conquest. I don't even have a real name. Only a purpose. I am capable of so much more and no one sees it. Some days I feel so alone I could cry. But I don't. I never do. Because what would be the point? Not a person in the entire universe would care. Take it to your grave." And then he punches him, stomps on him, whatever.
Slams his face to the ground.
Dude.
That's wild, but like it definitely brings like
so much more character to him.
I kind of feel bad for him in a way,
a
little bit.
It's like
he obviously there's a mentality that you gain from being a Viltrumite because
we talked about that a little bit. I think in the first one of like how can you bring yourself to do that? It's who they are,
right?
You know?
I mean they not to go too deep into it, but like you've seen a spider before. You squashed a spider.
Yeah, I hate spiders. Kill them all.
That's how they think about humans.
Yeah, maybe not quite the same.
I would say like
intense burning hatred for spiders.
Well,
which is ironic. My favorite superhero is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
At least
I
it
should
was
talk
for
to
a
someone
long
about
time.
that.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But no, like just the way that we value a spider's life.
You said wee.
Just the way that we value a spider's life, they would value our life that way as well. So, like, what is it to kill a spider?
Yeah. I think that, like, Mark kind of gets a little bit more of, like, because during that fight, Conquest also says, like, "Where's your Viltrumite heart? You know, I won't believe you have one until I see it beating in my hand." Yeah. Like, he's trying to, like, bring that out of Mark to a degree. You know, like, I think Mark gets a little, I don't want to say too much leeway, but, like, you know, he's getting his ass kicked while these other, you know, the humans are just getting demolished. That one scene, they're just fighting throughout these cities. Shockwaves going everywhere. People are dying left and right.
So good.
But specifically, there's a scene that mirrors the Omni-Man train scene in season 1
where
he just drags him through the beach and kills all those people. Yeah. Like, he doesn't care. Like, those people are nothing. Like, at least he's, like, taunting Mark, like, "Come on, do more," you know, blah, blah.
Right.
Like, he's like, everyone else is just, like,
not there.
They just happen to be there while this tragedy's happening, you know?
Well, I think with Omni-Man, he was actually trying to send him a message.
Mm-hmm.
while I can understand where Comcast could probably have something very similar to that, but I feel like he was just having fun with Mark.
I know, I completely agree. I mean, and that's kind of the whole point. He gives that whole speech like, I don't know what you did to piss him off that bad, but they said take over Earth, whatever means necessary, so I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're focusing a lot on the Conquest episode, which I think is great, and maybe put a pin in it and come back to it because you could talk about that alone, the whole episode.
For sure.
But I want this to be a discussion about all of season 3.
Yeah.
So looking back, what did you think about the opener with the whole Cecil thing?
You know, I really enjoyed them doing some sort of tension between a lot of aspects. Because when we talk about Mark, we talk about someone who is troubled in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking like once he came into his Viltrumite powers,
his life went to shit.
And I think that in I think it was the final episode where Debbie was talking about how I really wish you didn't get your powers. Like coming up to that, we were anticipating your powers so much, but
did you get your powers yet?
But after the fact, she's been watching him fighting for his life.
Oh yeah.
So
especially over the course of the last 2 episodes with the Viltrumite War and that, because I mean you can tell she's not too worried about it up to that point that much.
Right, because Viltrumites are the most powerful.
Yeah,
beings
like in the
on
Powerplex
Earth.
episode, she's like, dude, just let Eve get it because this guy's wacko. And then immediately the next episode, it's like, whoa, you know, she's trying to not to let Oliver go out and fight because she's petrified of all these alternate Invincibles. Oh, yeah. Dude, getting stretched over Conquest, that was nuts. I forgot that was in the comic.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I haven't read the Conquest arc in a while. I'm currently rereading it myself too with a friend of mine. He just got all the library editions and wanted to read through the whole thing. So I was like, well, we could do it together. Which is now my 3rd reread. I read it the first time, I think back in like summer of 23, and I read it the second time October maybe.
Okay.
24. So it's not super fresh in my mind. I know the big story beats, but I forgot a lot of it going in there. So watching all of it come to life, almost fresh, was really cool.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, we're getting back.
to the
Conquest is so good, dude.
Honestly, it's just the gravity that keeps pulling us in.
Yeah, literally.
It's so crazy. But to talk about Cecil,
yes.
Going into that, I mean, this is one thing that, like, as he's growing up as in the world as superhero, a Viltrumite by blood, he's like that. He was his handler, and to do that implant into his head, to try and, like, I can understand, like, Cecil's just a human being, dude.
Oh yeah,
like he's been through a lot when it came down to his career and his past.
The Secret Origins of Cecil Stedman adapted in the show. How about that? That was
wonderful.
Awesome.
But it gave you
episode 2, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah,
but it gave the reason why his face was all the way it was, which I honestly wondered throughout the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
But going into that, having like, this guy is dangerous, and after what happened with Omni-Man, we can't take any chances.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have to do this to ensure our survival if something were to go down.
I mean, that's the thing, and I love that's a question that comes into play, is that he's the most powerful hero on Earth. Right now. But so is Omni-Man, and look what happened. You know, like, you can't just let these people go unchained, I guess. You know, like, you know, and it's one of those things too. As viewers who get to see Mark's life in its entirety, we know who he is and how he feels, and his literally, like, his character. Who, like, you know, Cecil doesn't.
No,
obviously he's got a lot of surveillance and all that stuff, whatever. But like, Nolan's intentions were hidden for what, almost 20 years,
right?
You know, who know? I mean, like, so we know Mark's telling the truth. No one else does, you know, and they have good reason not to believe him too, which is the hard part.
Right. I mean, they were literally shown
exactly why they shouldn't trust
what a Viltrumite can do.
Here's a question: do you think Cecil was right? Do you think,
with his knowledge,
justified?
Yes. Okay. With what he would know, and this is like going into like,
I don't mean about the precautions that he took with Mark. I mean using D.A. Sinclair and Darkwing 2. Yeah, because that's what kind of set off that whole thing. Is Mark's pissed off? He's like, these are murderers who should be behind bars, and you're employing them like they're your workers, you know?
Right. And I can't remember if we talked about it on mic or we just talked about it off a little bit. We touched on this a few weeks back.
Probably when the episodes are coming out, yeah.
But basically going into that, it was... I said before, and I misspoke, and we had a conversation about it, but, like, giving them a use. But, like, when they have such abilities and such potential, throwing them away in a cell is going to do nothing for anyone. Granted, was his Nightwing?
Darkwing. Nightwing's DC.
Darkwing. He was genuinely remorseful for what he did.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, to a degree, you could argue so is D.A. Sinclair, because his whole thing was he's a scientist who just took steps that were seen as immoral.
Right.
But, like, scientifically, he was just trying to push human advancement, you know? And as Cecil, like, obviously saw, like, he was doing good work, he was just doing it the wrong way. You know, which is why he got put in the government where he had the means to do it properly. You know, so, I mean, yeah, he did some messed up things, but it was, you could argue, for a good reason. You know?
Right, and I think the real big
his problem
thing...
was his ego.
Right, his ego and the way he was acquiring the cadavers or the people, like the subjects.
They were dead at first.
But, like, I think if they were able to create Reaniman off of corpses.
Interesting you say that.
Like, maybe, I don't know, like the Invincible War.
The Invincible War.
Like, some bodies from that. I feel like they would...
You saw like they did that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I didn't know if you were like alluding like that'd be neat, or if like you actually like
no.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I was playing with words.
Okay,
apparently. But yeah, just the way that he went about it was definitely wrong. But to go back to the statement, yes, I agree with the way that Cecil treated those. I think that creating a purpose for them outside of their wrongdoings is going to be the best way to rehabilitate them.
I agree. Is that I feel it's one of those things where like Mark really just has this position where he just feels like he like everything's black and white.
Uh-huh.
You know, like there's good and there's evil. And as someone who exists in the real world, I know that that's not true. You know, and I'm sure it's a little hard with Mark where you have these godlike abilities. You know, there are so many people who are afraid of you. You have to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You make one misstep, you know, and you don't want to be like, you don't want to be the bad guy. You know, so it's black and white. There's good, there's evil. You know, they did bad things, they need put away forever.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I don't really believe there is a point. I think that there's, when it comes down to it, I mean, if you're gonna throw them away and lock away the key, I mean, there's obviously some ways that they could probably do the same for Mark. I mean, it goes into the whole he killed Angstrom Levy. Well, supposedly, like he, in his knowledge, he just killed someone, which is wrong.
Yeah. And we talked about this in episode 1 actually a little bit.
Yeah.
Was the fact that he did the same thing to Omni-Man.
Right.
You know, Omni-Man killed way more people and did way worse things than Darkwing 2 or Sinclair for that matter. Uh-huh. But then it's like, oh, actually, you know what? I'm a good guy now, and we gotta protect your brother. So it's like, all right, Dad, we're homies now.
Right.
You know,
I feel like there's definitely a bias to family there. But like, didn't Darkwing he sacrificed himself in the Viltrumite War? Darkwing 2.
Not the Invincible War.
Yeah. Invincible War. Sorry.
Yeah. No, sorry.
Darkwing. He actually.
As far as we know,
obviously you can't tell what's in the dark.
Yeah. As far as we know right now, he got, and that's not comic spoilers. I honestly can't remember what happened to him. I don't remember if he comes back or not.
Right.
He brought one of the evil Invincibles into the Shadow Realm or Shadowverse. Excuse me. That's Shadow Realm's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
The Shadowverse, and then just stayed there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, who? I can't remember exactly. Who did he save?
What do you mean?
By doing that? By
the whole team. Everyone was on the brink of death. I think Black Samson was like one punch away from death. Shapesmith was obliterated. Because that was the mark.
Oh, yeah. He was
like, what did he say? Oh, I don't want to not be alive anymore. Or whatever. That was good.
I love Shapesmith.
That's what's crazy. Stephen Yoon, however you pronounce his last name, was voicing a evil variant of Mark doing an impression of Shapesmith for that scene. Like, that's just it's the level of act. Dude, Stephen Yeun deserves something for that episode.
Yeah.
You know, obviously he as our mark alone, especially in the Conquest episode, his voice acting has been stellar this season.
I agree.
But then the fact that he managed to give all those alternate Invincibles so much personality with a couple of different lines, you know, like the Omni Mark is what people are calling him, the one that looks like Omni-Man.
Yeah.
Like he comes down and his swearing doesn't make you cool. Like, he's so calm and collected. I don't think he frowns or smiles or anything for the entire season. He also survives, which, mild comic spoiler, he doesn't in the comic.
No, I know.
He gets murdered by a yo-yo, which is so stupid. Let's go to the Invincible War for a second. We're bouncing all over the place, but I gotta talk about the Invincible War.
Okay.
Not a whole lot anymore gets me so excited to the point where I literally squeal like a little boy, super excited.
Yeah.
I was literally on the couch, shaking my fist back and forth, going like, like the whole episode.
Yeah.
First of all, I love all the alternate different marks, right?
Yes.
The Return of Angstrom Levy. He's one of my favorite villains in the entire series. The cameos. I talked about this a little bit last episode with Best Tiger. When we talked about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes.
Best Tiger is one of the best characters in the entire comic, and it was so cool seeing him in there. But the real big kick is he's one of my favorites personally, but it made sense that he was there.
Was he the one that got replaced?
No, I'm getting that one. The other two that were added, the other three that were added that are big that I didn't think were going to be there are Brit, Wolfman, and freaking Tech Jacket.
Dude, Tech Jacket, I love Tech Jacket.
Dude, just wait.
I know. They go into a little bit more about Tech Jacket, but I love Tech Jacket. Like the way that he nonchalantly just beat the shit out of a Viltrumite.
He is one of what 3 people?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. So Tech Jacket takes out an alternate Invincible.
Powerplex
takes out an alternate Invincible. Rex takes out an alternate Invincible, which we'll get to.
Don't do it.
And Cecil's Reanimate takes out an alternate Invincible.
Yes.
Am I missing anything?
With a shit ton of casualties.
With what?
With a shit ton of casualties.
Oh, yeah. Dude, those things are hard. Those are the only people who managed to take out any of those Invincibles. Tech Jacket is one of my favorite. When I was reading the comic, because this is the thing. Tech Jacket, Brit, and Wolfman all have their own separate comics. Okay. Best Tiger is part of Invincible Universe, so he is an Invincible character. Not like direct. He's not in the main comic at all, I don't think.
Okay.
But he is part of Invincible. Okay. So it made sense that he showed up. I was really worried because with Brit, Tech Jacket, and Wolfman all having their own comics, the way Image works that like Marvel and DC don't, is DC and Marvel own the characters. Yes. Right? If you're writing Spider-Man, you're writing for Marvel. Uh-huh. Image doesn't do that. The creators own their characters. Okay. So if you're writing Invincible, you're Robert Kirkman, because Robert Kirkman owns Invincible, not Image Comics. And so because of that, if the character has their own spin-off comic, they very well could not be in there. Okay. As we talked about a little bit of comic book spoiler here, just a little bit. Wolfman replaces Spawn.
Spawn, yes.
A lot of Image Comics characters show up within the Invincible War in the comic. I think Savage Dragon's in there too, Shadowhawk, a couple other ones I can't think off the top of my head. But Spawn fights that version of Invincible. Almost beat for beat, but it's Wolfman in the show instead. Yeah. Spawn is obviously one of
huge.
If not Image's biggest superhero. I mean, maybe not anymore since Invincible's come out, but Spawn is huge, and you can't like underplay his.
Honestly, I love Spawn.
Spawn's really cool. But obviously they couldn't use Spawn. Mm-hmm. Things like that, and I was worried that would happen with those 3, because Tech Jacket and Brit especially become very important to the story later on. Okay. In fact, I think we saw it in the finale, so I don't think this is spoilers. But Brit ends up becoming a mainstay of the new Guardians of the Globe since the team splits. Uh-huh. Brit kind of takes over as one of the leaders, because obviously we saw Immortal and Duplicate both leave at the end of episode 8. So they need more people. So Brit kind of takes charge, and he's like, "Walter, put your dick away, Walter."
Yeah.
It was by Jonathan Banks.
It was wonderful.
Immortal, Put your dick away, immortal. But listen, and because they play such crucial roles, I'm like, you got to have them in there. But if they can't have them in there, what's the workaround, you know?
Right.
And he said, on top of that, I'm just kind of a sucker for Tech Jacket. I also found out a while ago, and keep meaning to check it out, but haven't, that Tech Jacket is actually older than Invincible.
Okay.
There's a Tech Jacket comic that started in 2002. I can't remember how long it ran, and I think there's another Tech Jacket series that came out when Invincible was. I think it's like 2010, 11,
okay.
9, 8, maybe, somewhere in that range. But he said he was his own thing. I think it might be Robert Kirkman who did Tech Jacket. Let me check it out. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah.
It was. I was right. Yeah, it was Robert Kirkman did Tech Jacket. And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure the story with Tech Jacket is pretty much... Oh, yeah, so it only had 6 issues in its original run. Ran from November 2002 to April 2003. And Invincible started in January of 2003. So they were for a little bit there. But Tech Jacket wasn't picking up the way that they had thought. He kind of just got put into like the bigger universe of Invincible, and then Invincible kind of took charge, and obviously he went way bigger.
Now that kind of isn't like from the small portions of what we saw of Tech Jacket, he's basically a Tony Stark.
No.
In the showing of what he has, I mean, he shoot a freaking laser. I mean, I'm talking strictly off of season 3 here and his viewing of it. And I imagine that
he's more akin to like Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay. Because the reason he's called Tech Jacket is because he has a tech jacket.
Yeah.
Which isn't like an actual. I think it's a vest. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's essentially like the scarab from Blue Beetle, where the scarab's attached to him and it creates the suit and everything like that. That's what Tech Jacket has. So it's kind of like an organic armor type thing, which is like it's a lot more like Blue Beetle. But he's so cool.
Yeah,
I love Tech Jacket.
We'll have to talk more about Tech Jacket in
maybe
episode.
if I can find the trades, maybe that's what I'll do for one of our challenges. I'll make you read Tech Jacket.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here for it.
With how little there is, 6 issues, that's probably either a trade or 2 trades. So that we could probably get that done in one challenge.
Right. But to kind of go back to the conversation we were having before, and we can progress a little bit more into the season. I kind of want to talk about, and I know that we said about it, and I kind of can't go over it some more. Rex.
Yes.
Rex's arc was one of the better, because like whenever I watched season 1, we had small conversations about.
Rex
I didn't like Rex.
Yeah, he's the worst.
I thought he was the worst. We actually did, for my birthday, we did a one-shot.
Yeah, we did.
Of Invincible in, I can't remember what the name is. The dude. The
Machine Head?
The student. Machine Head and Titan.
Episode.
So Machine Head and Titan.
It was basically a D&D campaign for episode 5 of the show.
Right, and we had a lot of fun with it. And I played Rexplode.
I thought, played Invincible.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I still have that character sheet.
It was my birthday, and you had more fun.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad because I mean you were having a great time too, but that felt a lot more geared toward me, and I'm not going to complain.
Well, I think that my that Destiny was really picking up on my hyper fixation in that moment,
dude. I get
it. And we had a really good time, but I played him because I really liked what his setup had for the character. I didn't like Rex, so like I was being a little I was being risky with my moves because if he died, I would have been fine with it. Like it, but then he died for real. Like there was a huge redemption arc.
Oh yeah,
going with Shrinking Ray and creating that romantic interest in that redemption arc that came off of it, and you know how he's finally in a good place, and then immediately
you
after,
could tell like I mean I already knew it was gonna happen because of the comic, but you could just tell based on the fact that all of a sudden in the first episode he's like real good friends with Invincible. He's getting a lot more screen time. He starts this little arc with Ray, and it's like well, are they gonna be something? Oh, they are gonna be something. Oh, they want to leave. Oh, Rex wants to stay. Yeah, you could just tell. I mean, even if you had no idea what was gonna happen, you could tell. And then the whole thing, literally right before, he's like, I think I'm in a good place right now. That's killer lines. You know you're gonna die if someone says that.
Yeah.
Poor guy. If he just chose to be selfish.
Yeah.
For just a little bit longer, he could have.
Like she was out.
Ray. What?
You could have what?
She was like, "You want to go to my bedroom?" And then he left to be a superhero and then died.
Yeah.
So if he had just been selfish for a little bit longer, he could have boned Shrinking Ray.
I thought they did.
They might have off screen or whatever.
Yeah.
In that scene, who knows? Maybe they boned already. I don't know. I don't know what goes on.
Either way, but like kind of going back and forth, like we're kind of gone all over, and that's my fault. But basically, going from Rex introduced, cheating on Adam Eve,
super obnoxious.
He was a dick. Mm-hmm. Didn't really care about anyone but himself. Cheated on Adam Eve with Duplicate, and then like that whole relationship across the board.
Yeah.
Up until he got his, I don't know, dose of reality with the Lizard League.
Yeah. I like the fact they didn't drag out the Duplicate thing, because after he cheats on Eve in the comic, they don't talk for a long time. And every time Rex Splode shows up, Duplicate's like all over him.
Yeah.
But in the show, it's pretty much just right away like, bro, that was a one-time thing. Like,
yeah.
And what, you're mad that I'm cheating on you even though we're not together? Dude, we got together and you were cheating on Ray. No, Eve, excuse me.
Yeah.
I can't stand Duplicate, but I kind of like that they didn't drag that out.
Right.
You know?
But then going from there and then like having that whole near-death experience cause a huge shift in his personality and
he truly does make the change. He gets better.
Right. And then have that go into the love interest, and then on top of that, once he, explodes his whole freaking skeleton.
Dude, did you see that meme where
Rex exploded?
Rex exploded.
Yeah, it's robot just out here.
Where's Rex?
Rex exploded.
That's great.
Wild. And then having his funeral at the end and having so much, I would say love and compassion in for it. And then like Adam Eve just breaking down on the altar. Bro just fucked up Conquest, and now his girlfriend is crying over.
Here's a question. Here, I've seen a lot of discourse about this online, and I'm curious to hear your take. Because when I read the comic and this happened, I didn't think twice about it. And now that all this discourse going online, it has me taking a second look at it, right?
Okay.
Rudy is now Rex.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah. So first of all, he took Rex's body essentially and cloned him without his consent. And then now is essentially taking over his life. Like, this much will live on. I guess.
Don't do that.
Like the 30-year-old scientist who's trying to help this girl, like, I get maybe you have the same like kind of disposition almost, but like, I mean, she's basically a child. Like, that's such a complicated line. Robert Kirkman is like walking it pretty well, I think. But like things like that, it's like, and she just so accepted of it. I love you, Rex. Yeah. Bitch, you're at Rex's funeral.
Right. Like, he's not even in the ground
He's not
properly.
in the ground yet. You're about to go Bone Rex 2.0. Put it away, Monster Girl. Damn.
I agree. Like, I'm not a big fan of Robot changing his name. Like, I can't remember what his name is. Rudy.
Rudolph Connors.
So Rudolph Connors is now Rex.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, that in my eyes is doing a
I agree. I feel like it's kind of disrespectful.
It's doing a disrespectful disfavor towards Rex, especially after his redemption arc, and allowing the viewers to kind of have a little bit more of a resurgence in their thought process around Rex.
Yeah.
And now Rex ultimately sacrificed himself for other people. Mm-hmm. Like, he did the ultimate sacrifice and became what is considered a hero, putting others before yourself.
I think he does a great example of kind of showing that being a hero doesn't necessarily make you a good person.
Right.
Because Rex was a hero from the get. Right. He was saving people, he was helping people, but he was also a prick and unbearable.
Like Hancock, it's a Hancock aspect of it too. Like, I mean, Hancock it's another superhero, but he's a hero. I mean, he's technically an angel, but
John Hancock, the not founding father.
No, Hancock. Have you seen Hancock?
No, is that the one with Will Smith?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, he's a dick. He's a drunk.
I've heard, yeah.
Like he's basically.
I think you would enjoy it. My boss, my boss called me one day. I can't remember what we're talking about, but we got on the topic of superhero movies for some reason. This is not
that's
him.
odd.
He's not the guy to know that stuff, and obviously that's a huge thing I'm interested in. So I'm kind of rambling on a little bit, and he's like, there's one superhero movie I really like. What was it called? And he couldn't think of it. He kept trying to figure it out, and it was Hancock. And he was
that's
like,
awesome.
Oh yeah, you should watch that. I'm like,
I agree. That's a rare correct take of my man's.
Yeah.
Okay. And I can say that because I can't imagine that he's gonna listen to these things.
No.
But that's a rare correct take from him.
Yeah.
I think you should watch Hancock.
All right, maybe I will, but I won't do that. Keep my hands far away.
I'm making physical gestures to him.
Yeah, but stop.
But
we're getting kind of close on time, so we'll try and wrap up Invincible the best we can here.
Loved it.
We'll do our spoiler section real quick.
Yes.
Where do you think we're going from here? You know the story. What's season 4 look like?
Oh, it's a hard one. I mean, I imagine that they're probably going to. I mean, they kind of spoiled Battle Beast back into it.
Yeah, Battle Beast coming back.
I think that there's going to be doesn't Thrag and Battle Beast have like a full on?
Not anytime soon.
Okay,
that's closer to the end. Do you think we'll get introduced to dinosaurs this season?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know dinosaurs introduced kind of early. I feel like an overarching thing here is Mark has now reached the point at the end of season 3 where he is questioning what it means to be a hero and is willing to kill now. He is straight up like, I will kill them.
If anyone threatens my family, yes. And I think that's like really what one of the big struggles with season 3 was like, even though Angstrom Levy was threatening his family, he was still not trying to kill him.
No, he was holding back until he his emotional better than he couldn't. I think a lot of because what's kind of neat is that they've been kind of teasing this blue suit era of like it's kind of like symbiote Spider-Man of like the dark side of Invincible, whatever. No, I argue. That's happening now. That's what season 4 will be. Season 4 will be essentially black suit Invincible.
Right.
A lot of that
are off.
Yeah, a lot of that point of his story is relearning what it means to be a hero. Because that's part of the reason Dinosaurs gets introduced is because he does something horrendous. I think he levels San Francisco or San Diego or something like that. Turns it into an entire sheet of glass.
Yes.
Kills a bunch of people. Wipes them off the face of the planet. But in doing so, creates this big flat area where they put in a whole bunch of solar panels, and the world's better for it.
Right.
So those things, it's like these people had to die for this, but it was better because of it. And so Invincible was kind of like, okay, I hate the way you're going about it, but your thinking kind of makes sense. Maybe if we work together and I can be like your moral compass, we can work together to do things properly, you know? And that's kind of the culmination of that. But that spans out through, Universa as a person who comes down, this whole fight that threatens to she's trying to steal the sun or whatever, for her planet. But she doesn't say any of that. She's just like, I'm going to take your shit. And Invincible's like, well, I'm going to put you behind bars.
Yeah.
And then he later goes back to her. He's like, well, what do you need? She's like, well, I need energy. My people are dying. Oh, well, you should have led with that. And so they end up figuring, I can't remember what happens, but they figure out some kind of way to get her situated and just send her off on her way.
Isn't it like milk or something?
No, I don't think so. I think you're thinking of Dan.
Yeah.
Dan said that the aliens did that. They needed milk. That's crazy. That's where your wires overlap. But yeah, I think that's what that will be. As far as like big plot points of that, I don't think they're going to do the death of everyone next season. Do you think we'll get introduced to Thrag? I think by the
hope
end,
so.
I think by the end of season 4 we need to at least
I think
see
that's
drag.
I think that's going to be what the spoiler
Do
is
you
for
think-
season 5.
Do you think okay, do you think maybe it'll end with the Viltrumite War?
I think that'd be a good place to end it.
Mhm.
Especially following this season.
That's
ending
where we'll
with
see Battle
Invincible.
Beast again.
Yeah. I think that they're gonna do the Viltrumite War at the end of it. And I'm just excited. I want to consume more of this media.
I agree.
And
Unfortunately though, this week I don't have another Invincible comic for you.
yeah.
That's a great segue though. I think we've kind of rounded out what we needed to say about Invincible. Very great. I'm sure there will be another.
At least
episode
for
about
right this
Invincible.
second, because my challenge was also Invincible
Dude,
from last week.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, for now.
We'll talk about that a little bit more, but yeah.
Yeah, but our I'm sure we'll be talking about that again very soon. We're both kind of huge fans of this now.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a lot more to say, but I don't want to
Yes.
dump
We'll,
like we already have.
we'll save that for another episode. I think we're going to go ahead and lead into our challenges from
think
last
we are.
week.
Yep.
So my thing was I challenged you
Yes.
to watch the first 5 episodes of Cowboy Bebop.
Yes. I was super skeptical going into that.
Most people are.
And I said on the episode, I don't like cowboys. And you were like, I'm not worried about it. There's
Yeah.
no cowboys in there. Which, first of all, you're a liar. It's about a cowboy.
It's okay.
But it's a space cowboy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was space themed at all.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was really cool kind of like watching this, like the opening's kind of like with the flower and like that. It's kind of cryptic. I'm like, well, what's going on here? You know, was he a cowboy? What, you know? And then all of a sudden he's on a spaceship and there's like, and everything. Dude, I loved this.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm probably going to check out the rest of them.
I think you would.
Small.
And I think that's one of the reasons I was like so adamant about using this as a good opportunity to it. Because like, I don't think if I told you to, hey, watch Cowboy Bebop in any other context, you'd be like, yeah, I'll get to it.
Wouldn't have, yeah.
I'll get to it. And then just like, it's not a priority. But now I made it a priority.
Yeah.
You had to watch 5 episodes. And arguably, I think 5 episodes was one of the better spots because it got to a pretty good ending. And
Yeah,
you're
I
like
agree. It was a good, like, bookend.
about a fourth of the way through the series. But what did you think?
I liked it a lot. I actually took a little bit of notes with this one. The first thing I noticed, Spike, the main
Yes.
character,
Spike, good old Spike.
is voiced by Steve Blum.
Yep.
I love Steve Blum. He is, like, he's the voice of Wolverine. Like, in my opinion, he's the best voice for Wolverine. You got a couple other ones here and there, but like, if I'm drafting a Wolverine, I'm picking Steve Blum, right? He's also the voice of Zeb Orellis in Star Wars Rebels. He's just a very recognizable voice, and I knew right away. I was listening, and he starts talking, and I'm like, "Is that Wolverine?" A little distracting at first, but he's really good at Spike. I really liked the kind of vibe and art style that it had. I like kind of the vibe that older anime have of just like it's a lot more subtle. I think a lot of the newer stuff kind of seems very, bright and quick, which to a degree I think is a really good thing that it's made those improvements. But there's something about that older style that kind of just feels like it almost pulls you in a little bit more, in my opinion. Yeah. I think I was a little bit more like intrigued by this than I think I was with the other two, even though they were ones that I was actually like I was ready to watch. I was excited about. The two other things I wrote down, I love the way they do space with like the big construction, like the portals and all that stuff. A lot of space travel in science fiction is just like, we use this ship to move through space. But something I've always thought about with that kind of stuff is like, how do they not just hit each other?
Yeah.
There's so much going on in space. There has to be some kind of traffic control, right? And sure as shit, they do that in this. I think that's really cool. Yeah. And I love the designs for the systems and whatever too. I also think that it's important to note, I thought it was really funny and kind of messed up that in episode 2, the guy who's trying to like hunt the dog, whatever, they show his wanted picture and they're like, he got plastic surgery to look different, and they just race swapped him. He's darker and has an afro out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Seemed kind of racist, but like the shock was really funny to me.
Old anime has some risky takes sometimes.
Yeah, they were also a little bit more sexualizing with what's her name? Something Valentine? Faye Valentine.
Yeah.
Very she got sexualized a lot, which I noticed. Which that's not like a new thing, but like
that was her character, right? I mean, I haven't watched
kinda
in a long time, but like she was kind of a crafty seductress. I mean, when it came down to it, that's how she survived.
Yeah, that's
in
fair,
in that
yeah.
realm. So there was a meaningful way of doing it.
Yeah,
and I understand like there's a lot of newer anime that just fan service the crap out of these women. And
which maybe that's why I felt that way about it, but you're right. I think having put in that perspective, it does a little bit more tastefully, I think, than some other stuff.
But yeah, I'm really glad that you
I really like Cowboy Bebop, and I honestly I probably will check it out. I don't know if I told you or not. We continued Jujutsu Kaisen. Kaisen, yeah.
Awesome.
Probably gonna try and finish that when we can. It's just, what did you have me do the first time? I can't remember. What was episode 1's challenge?
Episode 1 was solo leveling.
So that's right. I was already into solo leveling.
Yeah.
And as far as these new ones are going, it's one of those things where it's like I watched Cowboy Bebop on my own.
Yeah.
I probably finished it on my own, but we love Jujutsu Kaisen, and we're gonna keep going with it. In fact, she was actually begging me to continue. I was like, well, I don't know what the challenge is gonna be. I don't know if I'm able to continue it. But then,
well, that's the thing. Like, see, here's my purpose around these challenges. Granted, I'm probably not going to challenge you to watch more episodes of those. I'm giving you more of a baseline of those, and where I feel like you can get a good start off or continue where you have been.
Okay.
Now, the reason I said Cowboy Bebop is because there's a lot of anime in that era that are very similar that are really, really great. So my thing is, I would like you to dip your foot in those kind of animes.
I missed the Cowboy Bebop event in Fortnite.
Yeah. But give me feedback on those, and then I can introduce another anime that I think you might like. So I would broaden your horizons on anime, and not just on one anime, and we can talk about it.
Okay.
And I think that's the purpose around this, and that's where I'm finding that anime is just cool. Like I love anime, and I'm really excited to have more
really
of that for you.
Having that kind of guidance almost, because one of the biggest problems with anime too is, and I talked about it a little bit in the first episode, of like kind of just like being cautious of what you want to watch, because there's so much weird stuff out there.
Right.
That it's kind of really nice having somebody who's seen a lot already and kind of knows, like, all right, so you're into this, maybe I can kind of guide you toward this thing. You know?
I've embraced the weird, so you don't have to.
Fair enough.
You know, kind of going in there and allowing more of these animes, because there's so much anime out there that it's a bit overwhelming for someone who is just now getting into it. And I feel like it's very similar to your aspect, where it's like there's so much comics out there. That's
part of the reason I started you off with Invincible. It's a really good, simple, easy read, because it's just start to finish. A lot of comics are not like that.
Right. And I mean, there's so many crossovers. There's so many like reiterations. There's so many fixes, because there's so many different writers
Retcons,
on
all that stuff.
You know, like there's so much more to this web of comics that is crazy out there. And I'm really glad that, you know, A, that we're friends, and B, that we're friends that are going to enjoy the same kind of media, because as you can walk my hand through these comics, I can walk your hand through these animes.
Yeah.
And
I think that's pretty cool.
I hear with like the little letters and the words across the head. Oh man.
Yeah, so I challenged you this week to pick up Volume 3 of Invincible. How'd that go for you? What'd you think?
I didn't feel like there was too many more changes. I mean, I really...
No, the Omni-Man fight, which is what Volume 3 that you read covers, is almost beat for beat in the show.
Right, and that's where I was reading these with the like, oh, I'm going to find something new. And I didn't really find anything.
It might be the most accurately portrayed. I think that I saw a thing not so long ago of the comic panels and the show, and they're almost verbatim.
Right.
It's like the script right itself, you know?
Yeah, and I was reading it with white gloves on, trying to like find things, and I really didn't. But that didn't say I didn't enjoy it. I saw it in the show. I really enjoyed reading it, reliving those moments. I mean, that one single tear, you know, coming out of Omni-Man as he's flying away.
Space, yeah.
You know, it's just reliving that humanity inside of Omni-Man that typically wasn't really seen.
No.
You know, it's something that, like, he killed so many people with that fight with Mark, but at the end of it, he was remorseful for beating the shit out of his own kid. Like,
and maybe fearful too, because he had two options: kill his child or abandon the Viltrumite Empire.
Which meant death.
So he's basically just killed himself by leaving the planet. You know? Here's a fun little fact for you. During the end of the fight, when Omni-Man's giving his dialogue of, like, what's another 17 years? I can always make another kid, whatever.
Right.
Got memed real hard. It was like the first real big meme of the series. It's the think mark. Think mark, think, right?
Yeah.
Think mark, think. He doesn't say that in the show. In the show, he says think mark. That's it. Think mark. What will you have? Blah, blah, whatever,
have
in the
you,
comic,
Dad?
it is, huh?
I would have you, Dad.
Oh, don't say that. In the comic is where he says think mark, think. He does say think mark, think in the comic, but not in the show. I just think that's kind of neat, which is crazy because no one the meme didn't come from the comic; it came from the show. So I just think it's kind of neat that like they're different, but it still pans out.
The way that they misremembered it is correct in a different form of media on it.
Pretty much. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But yeah, so and I said not a whole lot there. You're now basically caught up to where season 1 of the show ends in the comic. So I figured that was a good place to kind of leave you off. Maybe try and start you on to something else since I've been giving you the same thing for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm excited to touch new media. I'm like I said, I could get so much more of Invincible. Like I'm so ecstatic to
Of course
listen.
you are. Invincible's good with the sauce. You're also I don't know if I mentioned it before. I think your trade 3 is the first trade that's exclusively Kirkman and Otley.
Okay.
Because when the comic started, it was made with Robert Kirkman and Corey Walker. He was the artist.
Okay.
And then after, I think it's issue 7, Ryan Otley takes over. And Ryan Otley did most of the series. At this beginning part here, you can't really tell a whole lot that it's Otley because he specifically was trying to kind of mimic the art style of Corey Walker to make it feel more natural. But especially as you start going on through like issues like, 30, 40, 50, 60 with a lot of people saying are like Conquest, some of the best art Otley does.
Yeah.
That's about issue 60. So when you get to that point, like it feels more his own and it's so good. And you got to see the introduction of Otley, I think in this one. Well, the first like full
right. And I really enjoyed. I actually saw that there was a change to it a little bit. The first 2 it was kind of weird. I liked the art style, but it was taken back a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit more like the funny pages, like newspaper script, as opposed to a comic book, in my opinion. I love Corey Walker's art, and I think it actually gets better. He does come back for a couple different points throughout the series, and as he comes back later, I think his art gets better, or not necessarily better, but more attuned to Invincible.
Okay.
But I'll be honest with you, this first couple issues, I think it's a little bit hard. I don't know that it really works that well, to be perfectly honest with you. And I gotta be honest with you, I love Otley so much. So like, no disrespect to Corey Walker, but when Otley takes over, it's gold from there.
Which is amazing because like going into comics, I really like the visuals of them, and I think that there's a lot to be said about visuals and everything like that. So like,
well, if you love visuals, you're gonna love the book I'm gonna give you this week, because this week, our friend Michael got us each a copy of Kingdom Come, the DC story by I think it's Mark Waid. Yeah, Mark Waid, and drawn by Alex Ross as quote-unquote podcast woman gifts. So big thanks to him, first of all. But I also thought this would be a really good way to start off kind of some other stuff. This is a condensed story. This is a miniseries.
Yes.
This is one I'm going to be reading with you.
Okay.
Because I know about Kingdom Come. I think I know what the story is for Kingdom Come. But it's one of the ones that I haven't actually read myself. And I have a copy. You have a copy. I'm gonna read it with you. We're gonna check it out. It'll be pretty cool. Do you know anything about Kingdom Come?
No, okay. I'm fresh. Like the only thing that I know about that is obviously the things that we've been said at work over Alex Ross's work. And
dude, Alex Ross, it kind of a basic answer to be honest with you. If you like to talk about favorite comic book artist, because he's so great. But I mean, you can tell by the cover of this alone.
I mean, I kind of went through it a little bit. I mean, it's getting very biblical-esque, like realism.
I can see that. Yeah, he draws
drawings.
Very realistically. Yeah.
And I said esque again. I said we're not going to.
Yeah, quit that.
We're going to do that. But it's very biblical in a way, and I'm ecstatic to read it. I mean, we got it probably.
We've been holding off. I told you to wait because I wanted this to be your challenge. We've both just been holding off on this copy.
I put it on my bookshelf here, and I've been looking at it every now and again, just You wait.
Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna
you
read
wait.
you.
This is a little bit thicker though.
Well,
not
50%.
sure
50% of it is gonna be extras.
Oh, that's right. More than 150 pages of sketches. Oh,
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know there was that much extra.
Yeah, there's a lot of odes to background characters in there. This is all from Michael himself telling me this. I have not read any of it, but yeah, it's little extras here and there.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
about
it's about
a third
half.
of this
Yeah.
is just extra stuff.
So I feel like it's very very reasonable.
No, I agree. I don't think it'll be a good read. I think it's probably roughly about the size of maybe 2 of the trades I've been giving you. So like I said, either way, it's still a little bit thicker, but it won't be too bad, especially if it's a good story. So
Yeah.
I know what the story is. I won't say anything just 'cause I want it to be,
Yeah.
big. And I said I don't know that well. I don't want misinformation, but I mean I know. Alex
The
Ross.
art looks so good.
Dude, I know. You know what's so funny? Here's a quick little story about Alex Ross. My dad, when we were growing up, went to this comic book shop, right? And it was a pretty good comic book shop. I don't remember that much about it, to be honest with you, but I do remember that the guy there had big posters of Alex Ross art just lining the walls.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I think it was all DC characters. And it was like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, they're all great. But there was one in there, specifically, I'm pretty sure, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Alan Scott Green Lantern, which is the original Green Lantern. Right. And as the place was closing down, the guy told my dad that he could have it, because my dad was like a little customer.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so awesome. He sold it. The guy sold it. Tever got it. And as I heard this story when I got older,
What's the shop?
I got
We'd
it's way
tear
gone
them
now.
down.
Yeah. No. As I got older, and I heard that story later. I got angry for him.
Absolutely.
I'm jealous. I want that.
Yeah. A little hand me down.
No, it would have been hand me down. My dad will hold on to that until he dies. Maybe I'll get it in the will if I'm lucky, or he might get married with it if he had it, but he doesn't.
Just holding it, just straight to the chest.
Yeah. No, but that was really funny. I think that's my first introduction to Alex Ross. Actually, was that debacle. I don't remember that much as a kid, but I remember seeing those in the comic book store and being like, wow, those look real. Those pictures? It's like, no, that's Alex Ross. I'm like, oh, wow, cool.
Wow.
Did he take those pictures?
Young Camden sounds weird.
You want to hear weird? Here's a clip of Young Camden.
Hey, everybody. As I told you last time, I'm going to make a song all by myself.
That was the opening to the song Explode I made when I was 9 years old.
Wow, that was great.
Yeah, you didn't hear it. Shut up. Anyway, I feel like we've just about rounded out. I got to watch. Did you give me my challenge?
No.
What's my challenge?
Okay. Your challenge
Yeah.
for this week.
Yes.
Since we went back,
Go
we're going to
back.
stay around that area.
Okay.
Okay? We're going to watch first 5 episodes
Okay.
of Trigun.
Trigun? Is that one of the blanking on the name of them. The Gundam. Is that a Gundam?
No.
Okay.
Trigun is its own series. It came out in 1998.
Okay.
It's Vlash the Stampede. It's a real nice. If you like Cowboy Bebop, I think you'll like Trigun.
All right. Cool beans.
So first 5 episodes of
First episode,
Trigun.
Trigun. Okay, cool. You got to read the trade, I guess, the single trade of Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross.
And I'm gonna enjoy every minute of
Oh,
it.
I bet you will, dude. Alex Ross is good with the sauce, dude.
All right, so
But yeah, I
now
feel
we're
at
gonna
the
have
point now we're ready to
roll for ending. $11. Is this the Sprite?
It's Chug Sprite. So I need you to do me a favor. I don't know that'll be enough. Go grab yourself a Sprite. Come on back, and you got to try and do the out. Oh wait, no. I'm host. I have to do. Oh shit.
I am so glad that I didn't get this one.
Yeah. All right. Shut up. Let's see how much of this I can get down and still do the outro. Oh, I feel it. Oh, I feel it coming. All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Variety Voiceover. That's all for this week. In the meantime, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. While you're on YouTube, you can check out Comeback Kid Films for video projects. You can also email us to be part of the show at varietyvoiceoverpod@gmail.com. But as for now, this voice is We'll see you next week.
Thank you.